Everybody. We're so glad you're here tonight. We have much to celebrate. Lisa, we begin together. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom to everybody online with us. We're so glad you're here. We're going to have lots to celebrate tonight. The newest members of the Jewish people. We have a whole group to celebrate, and we hope that you have a chance now to also celebrate being here, being present, being open to opening up your soul as we'll pray for the new month later together. But let's begin on page 126 to set our intentions for this special. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. Page 128 at the top of the page from the book of Psalms. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is and pleasant it is for all of us to dwell together. Hinei ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 We're so excited tonight because this is the very first Shabbat for 4 members of our congregation, and we're going to invite them and celebrate them as they each chose to become part of the Jewish people. So at this time, I'd like to invite Manny Lopez and Ezra Adaziak and Tyler Christensen and Andrew Fox. If you'll come forward and join Frankie at the candle table. We'll make Kiddush, light our candles, and make Kiddush as this is their very first Shabbat, as each of them went to the mikvah, to the ritual immersion this week after finishing almost nearly a year of studies and involvement and observance. Page 120 and 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, So may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'tzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik neshel Shabbat.
And then the English.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. If you'll each take a Kiddush cup as we turn to page 123 in our prayer book, as we sanctify the holiness of the Sabbath day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagofen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema Bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu vacharta, veotanu kidashta, mikomim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ava uveratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat l'chaim. L'chaim. And gentlemen, if you'll put your Kiddush come back and come join us here at the Ark, we ask you to rise as the Ark is open.
Come on.
Hold this like that. Okay. Stay right there. It's heavy, so stand right there. Ezra, come on. Okay, Tyler, come stand right here. It's okay. It's okay. Each of you has studied so earnestly over the course of the last year in our Introduction to Judaism class, and some of you since last summer in our Taste of Judaism class. But more importantly, each of you have made a commitment to Jewish life, to the Jewish people, to our ethics, and to our values. And each of you have learned and explored and practiced Judaism during this time to make it your own. How lucky and blessed we are as the Jewish people to have you add to the vibrancy and to the life of our ancient people, our tribe, and how lucky and blessed we are to have your many gifts. And so I ask you, since each of you have completed your studies, each of you have gone to the mikveh, each of you has had the covenant embodied in your personhood, I ask you these questions, if you will answer in the affirmative. Do you choose to enter the eternal covenant between God and the people Israel and to become a Jew of your own free will? Do you accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other religions, religious faiths, and practices? Do you pledge your loyalty to Judaism and to the Jewish people under all circumstances? Do you promise to establish a Jewish home and to participate actively in the life of the synagogue and of the Jewish community? Do you commit yourself to the pursuit of Torah and Jewish knowledge? And if you should be blessed with children, do you promise to raise them as Jews? Torat Adonai Tmimah Mishivat Nafesh, the Torah of God is perfect, reviving the soul. The teaching of God is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of God are right, delighting the mind. The mitzvah of God is clear, giving light to the eyes. The word of God is pure, enduring forever, and the judgments of God are true and altogether just. The psalmist teaches us that in Psalm 19 and continues and says, Behold, I have given you a good doctrine, my Torah. Do not forsake it, for it is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace, from Psalm 119. And now, Frankie and I would like to offer to each of you the oldest blessing in our Torah, the priestly benediction that we find in Parshat Naso in the book of Numbers. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's presence be within you always, and may you find peace.
And together we say, Ken Yehi Ratzon, so may it be God's will. Simen Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simen Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simen Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simen Tov. But you all stay here for a moment, as we do have a little presentation for each of you, of course, to make sure that you have all the record of your transition to Judaism. Each of you have your certificate of conversion, your certificate of immersion. Some of you, we had your Hatafat Dam Sprit certificate. We wish you again Mazel Tov. Welcome to each of you. You're each a member of our congregation. So not only have you added to the Jewish people, but you enrich our congregation and our community. We embrace you. We love you. Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. Ezra, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. Page 142. So much joy filling all of our hearts, I know. Let's welcome the angels of peace to bring us that Shabbos feeling. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochel Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, ask for a blessing. Marchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch. Now invite them to return. Shuvchem, Shuvchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Our custom is to greet one another with blessings for Shabbat and introduce yourself if you don't know who's near you, and to wish everybody at home Shabbat Shalom. We're so glad you're with us, and we're so glad that you can share in this wonderful celebration on this Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Frankie.
Shabbat Shalom, Rebecca.
We remain standing, turning to page 146 for the call to worship.
Seated as we turn to page 148 and read together the words at the bottom, the blessing of Mariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzavaot is your name. Ever-living God, may your reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Our eyes are squarely in the distance ahead, looking towards Sinai, the place of revelation, the place of Torah, the place where we truly became a nation, a place of covenant. As we count the days of the Omer and look towards Sinai and Shavuot, we think about our relationships with God, because that's what the covenant is. It's outlining, detailing our relationship with the eternal that's lasted through millennium. And when we recite the Shema prayer, each time we say it, each time during the day, each time during a Shabbat, we are reaffirming that covenant, reaffirming that moment at Sinai. So as we know that the Torah was given in love, given as a gift, we stand and honor that gift and commune with God. Page 152, we rise as we recite our affirmation of faith together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Let us be seated together, turning to 154 as we chant the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha b'derech u'shofpecha u'vkumecha u'kshartam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha u'ktavtam amazuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem bemet.
As we look forward to Shavuot, to receiving the Torah during this time, we also must remember where we came from, how we got here. And that is, of course, the Exodus from Egypt. The words that we just said. We just said that we will remember to observe all of God's commandments and to be holy to our God. For Adonai is our God who brought us out of Egypt to be our God. And as we celebrate the journeys of being able to move forward this evening and take this time, this Shabbat, to be able to have that celebration, let us not forget to remember what it is we are celebrating and how we were able to be here, the journey that it took, those from which we come from. So let us sing, enjoy the song Mi Hamocha on page 158, the words that we sang after crossing the sea.
Osef
we continue at the top of page 161 as we read together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapares sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
162. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We come to the middle section of our service, the tefillah, and it's really an opportunity for you to be alone with your God, your higher power, while you're surrounded by people who are in your community, who are there to hold you up when you can't stand up on your own, who are there to be there for you, just as you are there to be there for them. So we rise together to support one another in our prayers. We'll begin together and then invite you to journey on your own through page 181 or the words of your own heart. Adonai, Svatai, Tiftach. Adonai, Svatai, Tiftach. Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha. Ufi Agid, Tehilatecha. Adonai Svatai Tiftach. Adonai Svatai Tiftach. Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. Ufi Agid Tehilatecha. 178. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Teinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim When we come to Shabbat, we're not supposed to ask God for favors. We're supposed to let God have the day off too, but we can share our worries and our concerns. That's also part of prayer. And so as we think about our loved ones in this community, our family and friends, maybe our work community, who are ill and in need of our love and our presence and our prayers, we make an exception for the Mishaberach for healing. Eloheinu v'Elohevotenu v'imotenu, God and God of our ancestors, we ask for your healing presence for John Altschul and Aaron Aronow, Gary Ashland, Stephen Baird, Marion Barak, Michael Becker, Roberta Bennett, Lisa Bird, Elaine Blatt, Louise and Wayne Cantrell, Michael Dyer, Tino Felipe, Robert Greenberg, Larry Mendelson, Zachary Pierce, Vitaly Popov, Tammy Rabowski, Keith Rand, Ben Reback, Arlene Reagan, Ivan Rosenberg, Richard Ross, Myrna Salzberg, Lowell Selvin, Miles Sen, Karen Shanbrom, Henry Sommerfeld, David Surreal, Stephen Valentino, David Ben Vershel Vavasha, Adam Weisbart, Philip Windsor, Eitan Wolf, and Doug Workman, and all those that you would like to include in this prayer for healing, if you'll say a name aloud at this time. And for those of you at home, would like to write in the YouTube chat or say the name aloud of your loved ones, we invite you to do that at this time. Page 371, we join together and sing Debbie Friedman's version of the healing prayer of Mishaberach. Mishaberach avotenu l'kor habracha. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu l'kor habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Yesterday, I gave my fourth year sermon as part of our school. In years 4 and 5, we are tasked each year to write one major sermon that we are to give, and this week was mine. And so I'm really honored to be able to share with you this evening that sermon I gave. One of my favorite TV shows as a young child was The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. In part because I could literally see myself in the show with the character of Carl. For those of you who haven't seen the show or have forgotten it in the 15 plus years since it first aired on TV, Carl is Jimmy's best friend who looks exactly like me. Belly, curly hair, glasses, and all. Though he has red hair, so me, but upgraded. I also loved the show because of the candy bar. This was a local ice cream shop where Jimmy and his friends would meet almost every episode to just hang out and eat sweets. And it was a place I idolized. Every time I watched the show, I remember thinking, while sitting alone in front of the television, I really hoped that someday I would get to have what Jimmy had. A place where I can hang out with a group of friends. Young me did not dream of getting to make any of the cool gadgets Jimmy had or envy his incredible intelligence. I envied his group of friends and that he got to eat a lot of ice cream. I share this story with you today because while I have been able to find community, in today's society, there are tragically an increasing number of children and adults who struggle with these same thoughts. They struggle with these issues of loneliness and isolation. The problem of isolation is not a new one. The human need for community and a sense of belonging goes back to the beginning of humanity. The punishment for Cain that was worse than death was that he had to wander alone with a mark that would forever prevent him from finding somewhere he could belong. And as we read about in this week's Torah portions, social isolation is seized upon as a solution only in the most dire situations. We read of a Metzora, a person afflicted with Sarahat, which Leviticus describes as some kind of skin condition, who would be sent by a priest into isolation for 7-day periods. Rabbis such as Nachmanides and Sforno have interpreted Sarahat to also be a spiritual affliction brought on as the result of one's actions. Isolation is such a negative experience that there had to be something serious going on that could justify requiring this of someone. In today's world, however, isolation is sometimes an experience we seem to be choosing for ourselves more and more. Despite the plague of loneliness that has spread across our nation, we order groceries that can be delivered to our doorstep by a person that we've never met. Arguments occur over social media behind a superficial presentation of the self and are ended by completely blocking all contact with the opposing party. College classes begin with a room full of students putting away their phones that they were likely using to communicate with other people remotely rather than any of their classmates nearby. Our world is full of these moments where we choose to self-isolate. Some of them have increased as a result of COVID, but most, if not all, of these behaviors already existed beforehand. And now we are seeing how difficult it is to convince people to let go of the convenience of doing so many things remotely and come back to doing things together in person, in real time, and in a shared physical space. In a talk given just this past week by Dr. Vivek Murthy, the current Surgeon General of the United States, this phenomenon has led to loneliness becoming, he says, one of our biggest health challenges, on a scale as big as any other health threat that we face. Numbers from studies vary, but none of them are good. Over 50% of Americans today report feeling lonely, and this is worse among younger people, with 79% of young people reporting feeling lonely versus 41% of elderly individuals, the group that used to be the most lonely. Dr. Murthy explains that loneliness is more than just harmful to us because of its impact on our mental health. Lonely people are at greater risk for heart disease and premature death. They're more likely to have impaired productivity, engagement, difficulty with retention of information, and stifled creativity. And at its most extreme, loneliness has been found to be deeply connected to the plague of gun violence in our country. In January, Gillian Peterson and James Densley, two professors of criminology, published an article in the New York Times summing up a profile that they conducted on suspected or convicted perpetrators of more than 150 mass shootings in the United States over the last 50 years, a third of which were in the last decade. The profiles they created were based on news reports, public documents, and conversations with the shooter's friends, colleagues, social workers, and teachers. What they found was that the killings are not just random acts of violence, but rather a symptom of a deeper societal problem. The continued rise of what they call deaths of despair. Deaths of despair, they explain, is a concept that has been coined by researchers to explain increasing mortality rates among predominantly middle-aged white men caused by suicide, drug overdose, and alcohol abuse. Peterson and Densley argue that the concept of deaths of despair also helps explain the accelerating frequency of the mass shootings in this country. Their article consists of these conclusions being dropped in amongst a large collection of various statements from these perpetrators of the shootings. What they found in collecting these statements is that nearly all of the killers profiled were men, and many were socially isolated from their families or their communities and felt a sense of alienation. They conclude the article with a call for change. They state, mass shooters are not the victims, but in order to prevent future tragedies, we must treat the underlying pathologies that feed the shooter's despair. Mass shootings must no longer be written off as inexplicable episodes of unthinkable violence. Our communities and governments need to find ways to reduce social isolation more broadly and improve access to mental health care and substance abuse treatment. While gun violence is certainly a complex issue of which isolation is one factor, the professor's conclusions are the same ones that are drawn by Dr. Murthy, that we as a society need to see reducing isolation as a critical communal task. He offers a few simple ways for someone struggling with loneliness to combat it, such as taking as little as 15 minutes a day, every single day, to have a conversation with someone you care about who does not live with you. He says it can be so easy for us to feel like no one outside of our immediate circle cares about us. And those brief conversations, so long as they are done with fully giving our attention, putting away our phones, really being with the other person, these can truly make a major impact on feeling connected. He also presents isolation as a challenge not just of governance or for the healthcare system to solve, but he says a moral and spiritual question of what our responsibilities are to one another. This is the same question that is raised in regard to the Mitzorah. The social isolation we read about this week in Leviticus is done within the context of a caring community. It was the job of the priest to check up on the individual in isolation and to ensure that they knew there was a caring community for them to return to, for the person to know that they are not alone and that the struggle they are encountering, even if it were to be because of a wrong that they had committed, does not fully define them forever, and that they had a community to return to, that they still have a place where they can belong, an identity to feel connected with. This role of community is what is needed to break the cycle of loneliness and violence. And it's one I truly believe to be part of my divine calling and being to make that change. At the core of my journey to the rabbinate is an encounter with this crisis. Since high school, it had been my dream to become a rabbi, and I spent my undergraduate years preparing myself for enrollment at Hebrew Union College, HUC. There was not a year that went by between my sophomore year of high school and my final year of college that I did not at least spend one weekend at the Cincinnati campus of HUC at some college program or another. I set myself up so well to attend school that when I did not immediately apply, I received a call from the director of admissions at the time, Rabbi Rahel Sadat Behalafmi, asking where my application was and what my plan was for the future. I decided I needed to take some time off from school and Told her that I would be applying in the future. Fast forward a couple of years, and it's 2018. I'm on my way to the temple in Atlanta, Georgia, a very large synagogue, to attend a Torah study that Rabbi Sabbath was leading there as part of an installation for a new rabbi that she was participating in. She had invited me to the Torah study because I had deferred my acceptance now to HEC and continued working for one more year in Atlanta, and she wanted to meet to discuss whether I would be continuing and attending school the next year. That day was October 27th, 2018. And it was as the two of us were leaving the Torah study and heading to one of the rabbi's offices to have our conversation that our phones lit up with the news of the shooting at Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. On my way over to the temple that morning, I was not 100% certain what I was going to say about coming to HEC. I had told myself that if it was meant to be, I would know it when the question came. I'm not sure what louder call from the divine I could have asked for than the events of that morning. Rather than the conversation we intended, what I witnessed was the power of community and an immense network of care and support as Rabbi Sabbath reached out to all the people she knew in the area to offer whatever help she could to the rabbis and clergy people and to remind them that they were not alone. After she finished her many phone calls and some time had passed of the two of us sitting together in silence, Rabbi Sabbath looked up and asked me the most important question I've ever been asked. Is this the world you want to become a rabbi in? As is evident by me being here today, I answered yes. To which she replied, good, because this is why we need people like you to be rabbis. Ever since that morning, I've continued to ask myself what kind of person and rabbi I want to be in order to combat the hatred and violence I committed to fighting that Shabbat. The answer I have come to is that I want to help create a community and a movement of people committed to fighting loneliness. Together with others, I want to create a world where people have places to turn to and feel that they belong before they find themselves in such a dark place that they think it is too late. I want to be the priest that goes to those in isolation and helps to guide them back to the community. In Tractate Sanhedrin, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi tells a story connected to the task of the priest aiding the Metzorah, where he encounters Elijah and asks him when will the Messiah be coming? To which Elijah responds that he will be able to find Mashiach by the gates of the city, changing the bandages of the Metzorah. This story from the rabbis broadcasts the importance of caring for those in isolation and teaches us that no one, not even Mashiach or Elijah, is above changing the bandages of someone in need. Rather, it is one of the most important tasks that we can do. And while it is such an important task, solving a national health crisis is not an easy one that any of us individually can solve alone. But as we read in Pirkei Avot from Rabbi Tarfon, it is not our duty to finish the work, but neither are we free to desist from it. So this Shabbat, I want to ask you a similar question to that which was posed to me. Is this the world you want to be living in? To those of you joining us as new Jews, is this how you want to be a Jew? And I hope that the answer is yes, and that you will be working to build it to be the world that you want it to be. It can be as simple as calling a friend you have not talked to in a while, someone you've lost contact with and have felt too ashamed to reach out to. Or it can be taking extra time to look around the room that you are in and find someone who might be sitting alone. Or working to build caring committees in our communities, or to invite someone that you don't know yet to a meal and get to know them better. There are all different kinds of ways that we can work to combat this challenge of loneliness today. Myself, I think I will find a local version of the candy bar and invite some people to hang out and eat ice cream. Shabbat Shalom. Now, we'd love to invite up board member Rebecca Schurz to share with us some announcements.
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Shares, a member of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of the whole Board of Kol Ami, we want to wish you Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. I think I already knew this was going to be a special evening and welcoming some people into our community. Really beautiful to share that with you. Thank you also. That was a beautiful sermon and certainly touched me. So we can all think on that. Thank you, as always, Travis, for everything you do with the audio to keep it smooth. Lisa, thank you for the beautiful music. After services, everyone who's here, please do join us for the Oneg. Thank you to Manny Lopez and Andrew Fox for sponsoring the Oneg in honor of your conversion. And also, I have contributed in honor of the Oneg in honor of my mother, who's passing. We're commemorating today. Next Friday night, join us for Yom HaAtzmaut, the Israel 75 special music service at 6:30 p.m. and there will be a special Oneg celebration after services next week. Next Saturday, so a week tomorrow, on April 21st, come and join us at 1 p.m. here. We as the Sedek Council will join for making sandwiches for the Hollywood Food Coalition. We hope to once again manage to make 500 lunches. It's a great sociable event and good time to meet and talk and feel like we're actually doing something practical and something good to help people. So please do come and join us. Also on the same Saturday, online at 4 p.m., our book circle will meet to discuss the latest book that they're reviewing, The Faith Club, a Muslim, a Jew, and a Christian, 3 women's search for meaning. Looking forward, we're coming into a season of transitions. Let's all come along in person on Friday night, May the 26th, to celebrate Rabbi Levy before he leaves us for a new position in Memphis with a special musical service, Oneg. You can sign up to be a sponsor of this special evening on the website. Then, in June, on the weekend of the 16th and 17th, we will celebrate Rabbi Aga as she becomes our Rabbi Emerita. There will be a special service here on Friday night of June the 16th, and then our 30th anniversary gala on June 17th at the Mulholland Tennis Club. Don't forget to place your ad in our dinner journey, Don't forget to place your ad in our dinner journal offering congratulations. And also, please do put it in your calendar, come and join on the Friday night, and you can sponsor this celebration again through the website. As always, please do keep up to date on all that's happening in Congregation Kol Ami by visiting our website at kol-ami.org, kol-ami.org. While you're visiting our website, please do consider making a donation to the synagogue to support the work that we do all year long, to literally keep the lights on and everything that we do here. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
We have a birthday tonight.
Okay, well, we'll celebrate at the Oneg. That's where we do that. Thanks. We're going to turn to Count the Omer, which is on page 570 in your prayer book. So would you stand, please, as we count the Omer?
There we go. Page 570. We say, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who housed us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom sheshesrei yom shehem shnei shavuot u'shnei yamim le'omer. Today is the 16th day, which is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer.
If you'll turn and remain standing for page 379, today is a Rosh Chodesh, and we say, Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, shetehei tchadesh aleinu et hachodesh hazeh l'tova u'livracha v'tein lanu chayim aruchim chayim shel shalom, chayim shel parnasah, chayim shetehei lanu v'avat Torah v'yirat shmayim, chayim sheyomlu me'ashalot libenu l'tova. Amen. Together, our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, and prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longing of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Iyar is today. And so we say together, Amen. And the proper reading for Rosh Chodesh is Chodesh Tov. May you have a good month. We turn now to page 586 as we remain standing for Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu L'Shabeach, L'Adon HaKol, Tate Gedula, Liotzer Bereishit, Shelo Asanu Ki, Vayeh Aratzot, V'lo Samanu, Hamishpachot Ha'adama, Shelo Samenu Bahem, V'gor Aleinu Kicho Amonam, Anachnu Korim, Umishtachavim, Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Lachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech ha'aretz, V'yom ha'u, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. We're observing the yahrzeits this week of Mark Katz, friend of Marla Sandow, Avram Israel Gochin, and Janko Novozd, great-grandfathers of Grant Goshen, Sorella Garin Bloom Novozd, and Choni Hessel Rommel, both great-grandmothers of Grant Goshen. We're also observing Zelda Seifman, mother of Ted Seifman, whose yahrzeit plaques are lit here in loving remembrance. We're also recalling the yahrzeits of Allison Schurz, mother of Rebecca Schurz, Alma Reinhardt Myers, mother of Todd Reinhardt, Arlene Siegel, friend of Sam Fibish DeWitt, Patricia D'Amico, mother of John D'Amico, Michael Finelli, stepfather of Herb Schultz, Brett Schad, friend of Sam Fibish DeWitt, Leonard Leibovitz, friend of Evan Cohen, Richard Leviton, Uncle Stuart Leviton, Eileen Davis, grandmother of Alan Weisbert, Norman Everett Kern, uncle of Mark Friedman, and Trula King, grandmother of Todd Reinhardt. We've been reciting Kaddish in our congregation for Richard Frank, Lou Vincenelli, Dave Hall, Howard Romanoff, Greg Sonkin, Ruth Forster Williams, Reba Goldman, Michael Simmenthal, Victor Escobar, Alvin Gross, Ernie Benson, Kathy Weiss, Ellen Menzner, Janice Hooten Levi, Anton Malley, Josh Kaplan, Don Hollis, Jason Thomas Lodge, Elaine Cohen, Maeve Eisenberg, Bart Kogan, Dabby Blatt, Stephen Shapiro, Carol Rosenthal, Marilyn Horowitz, Murray Blank, Steve Hochstein, Ernie Sosnick, Stephen Wright, Scott Magid, Gloria Brown, Rosina Spitzer, Lizzie Taylor, Jamie Hornbeck, Dave Bird, Fran Shambrom, Louis Silverman, Patricia Rudolph, Harriet Sine, David Brodsky, and we note with sadness the deaths this week of Vivian Bernard, mother of Richard Bernard, and Latrice Bloom, mother of Jerry Bloom and Todd Bloom. Are there others who are observing a yahrzeit or saying Kaddish, and if you'd say their name aloud at this time, at this season? Those at home, if you want to say a name aloud as well, page 598. We stand and comfort each other with these ancient words. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, b'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agalav v'zman kari v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudashah barichu. La'elah min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'kol yishvei tevel v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace and comfort to all who mourn and all who are bereaved among us. And together let us say, amen. Please be seated. Our closing song tonight, our closing prayer, 642, Adonai Oz, from the book of Psalms. Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, Adonai Oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo
moment, we will enjoy together an owning outside. And so first, let's say together the motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
May the joy that we have brought into this space, all that we are celebrating, resonate with us throughout the rest of the Shabbat. And may we go forward in comfort and in peace, together as a community, holding each other up. Can you hear that song? Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos, everyone.